Silence.
I'm waiting for the ticker to tick. It takes a moment waiting for the ticker to tick and do the ticking.
Everybody loves the new game, Old World. Everybody wants to learn about how Adam, Pete, and Danny told me that Old World charm starts now.
G'day, everybody, and welcome to episode 49 of that Old World Charm. I know it's been a little while between drinks. I've been gallivanting upon and across Europe on my month-long holiday, which, very lucky and blessed to be. But we've got to record anyway. I'm sitting here in a beautiful hotel in Valencia, Spain, recording a episode for Joll. And joining me on this beautiful episode, Peter the Falcon. Hello, mate.
Hello, my babies. Hello, Adam. It's been so long. I, too, have been on a month-long vacation, mostly spent in my basement because every time I've tried to go anywhere, I've been evacuated due to wildfires. So really running a gamut here of not getting to do a whole lot on my time off.
Dang. Well, yikes. Fair enough.
I'm perfectly safe. It's just a funny thing. I went camping with my kids in the middle of the woods in Fundy National Park here in New Brunswick. Rented a cabin for a few days. It was going to be a nice, pleasant trip. And then when we got there, they were like, hey, we've closed down all of the forests in New Brunswick due to massive wildfires. You have to leave. So I was like, cool. So I left.
God damn.
It was like, let's go somewhere else. So I booked a trip to Halifax to visit my sister and spend some time there. Got to our hotel in a place called Bears Lake, which is just outside of Halifax. And as we were driving in, I could see this big smoke cloud billowing. My kids asked what it was. I was like, oh, it's probably like one of the factories just west of the town.
Yep.
Nope. Massive wildfire. Literally started half an hour before we arrived at our hotel. That whole half of Bears Lake was evacuated. So it was good times.
Fair enough. Well, the most interesting part of mine, of course, I went to the WTC, where they did have an Old World event at the WTC this year in Leoben, which was fan-freaking-tastic to see. Of course, I was there covering the 40K shit that we won't talk about any longer. But I went from there to Lyon in France, proceeded to eat an enormous amount of cheese, and then shit myself across the rest of France. Good times, wouldn't change a thing. Anyway, this is going to be our usual good old episode. We are going to be reviewing and Mad Reads booking our way through the Arcane Journal of Grand Cathay. The actual Arcane Journal. They came out in an Arcane Journal, but it was an Arcane Journal. The actual Arcane Journal, but it's not much of an Arcane Journal. Hopefully you caught all of that. And on part 2, we're going to play catch-up again, going through our Q&A show questions thread on our Discord, which you can become a lovely member of if you go over to that Old World Charm over on Patreon and sign up. Get into it. Let's go. But, my man, and without further ado, let us jump into this pretty mediocre fare, pretty bare bones.
Okay, yeah, so this is Dawn of the hot takes. And it's like half of an Arcane Journal. It feels like, and I think what we're going to see going forward, and this is just presupposition, Arcane Journals going forward are going to be more narratively focused than the previous ones. We're going to have a handful of rules for armies just to like spice things up, some magic items, and then it's going to be here's just like the continuation of the Old World story, plus some narrative scenarios, let's say. And I believe what we're seeing here, this is my assumption, I haven't talked to anybody in the know, that this, because our Cathay just came out, they did want to give Cathay their own like actual factual Arcane Journal, but they're also in the middle of transitioning to, hey, here's what the new journals are going to be. They're not going to be like 2 or 3 armies of infamy for one faction. There's going to be multiple tiny armies of infamy, things like that.
So they're going to get a little bit to a couple of, instead of an Arcane Journal just coming out and just being essentially a 0.5 army book. Yeah, they're going to give a little sprinkle, a little salt bay dusting, seasoning, so to speak.
Yeah. So, and we kind of see that with the preview for Cetra that'll be coming out with like Tomb Kings are getting a couple things. It sounds like dwarves and orcs and goblins are getting like one thing each, that kind of thing. And I think so. This is kind of like an in the middle where they're like, hey, Cathay still needed a little bit of love. We're not going to release new models for them because we just released 1 billion new models for them.
Well, the entire range, which isn't extensive by any means, but
no. But I think like releasing more to the range right away, probably for at least from a business perspective, not what they wanted to do. So we got this.
They've also got a very small sandbox of which to use and like make Cathayan armies of infamy, right? Because they have such a small unit selection at this time compared to like the 100 orcs and goblins units, etc. That it would probably just be a bit of a waste of time. Be like, here's the army of infamy for lancers. Here's the army of infamy for infantry. Here's the army of infamy for lanterns. Okay, wait, don't do that one. Redacted. Nuke it. Nuke the side from orbit. The only way to be sure.
Please don't make lanterns better. Find a way to make them slightly worse, or a lot worse. Anyway, so Dawn of the Storm Dragons. It's just, I'm going to say it up front. Probably this doesn't need to exist.
I agree.
It feels like they there's not enough extra here for it to be worth it. There's some good, there's a couple cool things, but we didn't need to have them.
I know you're about to say, it added some magic items. But Cathay already had one of the best pools of magic items already.
Yeah. Oh, I know, and that's why
it was unnecessary.
When we go these magic items at the end, there's going to be a lot of them where I think people will listen and be like, I wish I had that thing.
Correct. And then Cathay and Generals. Cathay and Generals aren't even going to look at them because they've got better. All right. We're going to be starting this one on page 44 with
if we could, there's just a little thing I want to know. There's some really awesome lore in this book. And so if keep that in mind, this is about Cathay joining the actual battle, fighting off chaos. There's some awesome art with Miao Ying fighting off chaos, a chaos dragon, possibly Galrock. Badass stuff there. And there are about 20 pages devoted to new narrative game rules or rules for competitive gaming. Specifically, they've added a couple of pages devoted to how to use buildings properly, which we didn't have in the core rule book.
Yep.
So there's they're optional, but I think a lot of TOs should look at these if you are a TO or if you're just a player and consider using them, because they really spice up towers and other buildings in terms of making them garrisonable. And they're pretty tight. I played with them once now, not a whole lot, obviously. It can slow down a game because of how some of the garrisoning rules, to garrison, just from this rule book, it has to be an infantry unit. They have to be unit strength 20 or lower. If you're garrisoned, you have ranged weapons. Half of the unit can shoot.
Yep.
You measure and draw line of sight from the building itself, not from the unit in the building. You have 360 line of sight when you're in it. And then to get somebody out of a building, if they don't just walk out of it, you have to siege it. So a unit has to charge the building. And then when you make combat, both units are considered to be skirmishers for the battle. So you don't get close order bonuses or anything like that.
Yep.
And you pick 5 models each to fight, which I feel like is low. It makes the combat go on quite a while, unless one of the units is ogres or something like that, or you have a really beefy character in one of the units, because 5 models is pretty low.
But because they're skirmishers, you get fight back, and they don't just kill the 5 guys and nothing happens, and it's a
exactly so everybody gets to fight, which is good. And then, and then the other thing that is if the sieger wins the combat, there is no fallback in good order or give ground. If you roll either of those options, you just stay in the building. If you break, you die. You don't leave it. So and then the sieging unit gets to choose to enter the building or stay where they are and reform. It's some pretty interesting rules. There's also some rules for shooting at a building. It makes it very defensible if you're worried about cannons or Skylanders or stuff. They get a ton of bonuses for being inside of one. It's not like 8th edition where sometimes cannons
D6 hits
better. So there is that. Hitting the tower with a stone thrower though is really powerful. So there's pros and cons. Anyway, there's some terrain generators in here, which are garbage, but if you like that kind of thing, aces. There There's some teaching you how to run a multiplayer game is one page. Also, a waste of reading. Don't bother. It just says, hey, play with more than one person or two people.
No. Bring back Triumph and Treachery. Bring it back. It was the freaking best.
That's what I was hoping for when they said they were adding multiplayer rules. I thought this was going to be Triumph and Treachery rules for this.
Oh my God. It was so much fun, dude.
It was amazing. Instead, it's just like, hey, if more than two people want to play, just play with more than two people. Basically,
so I will tell you what happens every time more than two people play with an unorganized rule set. One of them gets ruffle stomped and doesn't want to play anymore. That happens.
Is the one that brings the slightly stronger army.
Perception, yeah, correct. Perceptionally stronger could literally be 3% stronger, and then that gets absolutely ragdolled.
They play against 4,000 points. Maybe 3,500, and there's a small skirmish that happens on one side of the board.
It's so bad. Anyway, all right.
Now let's get to the actual factual page 44, Grand Cathay Jade Fleet.
So I have been a little out of the loop because I am gallivanting and enjoying myself. So I'm going to be doing most of the off-the-cuff takes, and Peter will be giving us the actual lukewarm takes. But I'm going to be doing a lot of the reading, so Peter can give us a lot of the analysis. So Jade Fleet is up first. This is the Army of Infamy. The composition list reads as thus: 50% characters, Miao Ying, of course you can take. 0 to 1 Shigengan Lords or Lord Magistrates per 1,000 points. Then you can take Shigengans, Game Masters, Gatekeepers, and Strategists as you please. 25% of your army's points value must be spent on Jade Warriors, and 0 to 1 units of Lances per 1,000 points taken as a core choice. So far, this seems like the Grand Army. Special is 50% of your armies may be spent on Jade Lancers, 0 to 3 War Machines per 1,000 of the rocket batteries or the Grand Cannons. 25% rare, which is Sky Lanterns and Sentinels, and this is where it gets a little spicy. 33% of your army's points value may be spent on mercenaries drawn from the Empire of Man Army list Forces of Fantasy, which is 0 to 1 Captains of the Empire, Master Mage, Priest of Sigmar, Priest of Ulrich per 1,000 points, State Troops or State Missile Troops, Free Company Militia, Empire Archers, and 0 to 1 units of Pistoliers or Outriders per 1,000 points. Note that mercenary units within a Jade Fleet army are not subject to the misbehaving mercenaries rule. And that is the only thing of distinction that I would say here that makes this thing operate over and above a Grand Army. But how do you feel about this composition list?
I mean, you're dead on. The only other differences that aren't noted, you cannot take standard Cathayan dragons like you can in the Grand Army. Yep. Unfortunately, there are no other Cathayan dragons to take. So not a thing right now, but maybe in the future if they release Yuan Bo, who is talked about a lot in this book and would have been, I think, an easy slip-in for a special character. I
mean, if somebody bought Miao Ying and just did a bit of conversion work on the dragon, I'd be happy to use it as a bog standard Cathayan dragon. Wouldn't have an issue.
Yeah. Or you take one of the named characters, or other things they could have done. For example, Yuan Bo's talked about a lot. He's technically like a magistrate that can turn into a dragon. You could just say he can't turn into a dragon yet, and then later on release rules for him as a dragon, or whatever you want to do. I think there was an option here to do something like that to really at least add one bit of spice. But regardless, you can only take Miao Ying. And then the other thing here is if your general is a lord or magistrate, you do not get the option to put a lantern or a sentinel in special like you do in the Grand Army. Yep. That's literally it. So you can't run 6 lanterns. You can only run 5. You can only run 2 sentinels. Most people don't even run 1, so because they're just such a pain in the ass to build, not on top of not being optimal. So
giant base as well, giant base.
Giant base. I spent 3 hours trying to build my sentinel and took a break. It's just not a fun experience. So really, the only difference here, like you said, is this 33% mercenaries.
Mm.
And then there's an interesting blurb here in the normal battle standard and magic item blob that says that any models that have the option to purchase magic items may purchase common or Empire of Grand Cathay magic items in this list. This is something they have in all of them, but it's what makes it weird for this one in particular. So there's an FAQ that says that mercenary characters or mercenaries that can take magic items have to take them from their main book.
Yeah.
But it's I'm wondering, and I've asked the question, not received a response yet on For this book, which do we follow? Do we follow the blurb that says if you're running a character, it has to take it from the Grand Cathayan army, or can I use Empire magic items?
Yeah.
That kind of really, it's not a huge change, but there are a couple Empire magic items that if you had access to them, you would take on a couple of these guys just to like pump up the GM, as it were. Still, this is a really good way, I think, of because some people thought the Cathayan army was a little too elite. This is a good way to add some like less elite units to your army if you really want to have like something that looks a little more fleshed out on the board.
Well, to me, the massive buy-in here is the total fact that Cathay doesn't have fast cav. So just going and getting the Pistoliers and Outriders feels like a good buy-in.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Pistoliers maybe with the new Impetuous rules.
Yeah,
like Pistoliers and a captain might be kind of interesting. I think what you'll end up seeing for people that are trying to min-max stuff is they'll take, and also just to clarify, when it comes to those character options, you can only have one of any of those per 1,000 points,
correct.
not just like one of each. So like
correct.
you can only take like a mage and a captain or 2 mages or something like that. This also gives you access to like a really cheap wizard. If you wanted one, I think in a world where magic was stronger, maybe you want that. But yeah, so it's I think people that run this will probably end up cutting themselves down to like, I'm taking a character, maybe a handful of archers, maybe a unit of Pistoliers or a rider. But like because Cathay is such a tight army list as it is, it's just hard to find the points to do more than that. So it
really is. All right, moving on to the special rules. Cathayan Black Powder is first up. The first time any unit in a Jade Fleet army that is armed with a handgun, a pistol, a brace of pistols, a black powder weapon shoots, the range of weapon is increased by 3. So you get plus 3 inches on all your black powder weapons first time you shoot them. Next up, Mercenary Handgun Drill. Once per game, each unit or detachment of state missile troops in a Jade Fleet can fire with 1 additional rank. That's not bad. And then Unity and Harmony. Any number of Jade Warriors or Jade Lancers within 3 of a friendly mercenary unit may reroll hit rolls of a 1 during the combat phase. Not bad at all. And then War Balloons. 0 to 1 Sky Lanterns per 1,000 points may have the Ambusher special rule 15 points. In addition, once per game, a Sky Lantern that is held in reserve may re-roll the dice when rolling to determine if it arrives this turn as reinforcements or is delayed. How do you feel about our 4-pack of special rules?
I mean, they're fine. There's nothing groundbreaking here. I think some Empire players are real sad that their army is better when in Cathay. but only marginally, right? Like handgun drill, we have effectively the same rule. I think actually slightly worse in City State of Nuln. Just from the wording, I think it's slightly worse. I don't think it's exactly the same, but relatively. And then black powder, a once per game, extra 3 inches. It'll be cute in games like where you both deploy on the line and you have like a unit of not Pistoliers, of like Outriders, and you don't have to move, so you don't suffer that ponderous, and you can lay out. Also forces an enemy to maybe sit back a little bit because you have that option. But yeah, other than that, it's meh. The big 2 things here are War Balloons and Unity and Harmony. 3 inches is a very small bubble to keep your units around. And Jade Warriors, unless you're taking halberds and making them really not very defensible, they're strength 3 dudes with hand weapons.
Correct. It's a buff for Lancers. Is the way I read it.
It is definitely a buff for Lancers, and keeping like a regular Empire unit within 3 can be difficult. But something that I was talking to Adam with before the game, before we started recording, is that is important. The core rulebook states that you cannot put a mainline character in a mercenary unit, but there's nothing that says you can't put a mercenary character in a regular. Exactly
right. Correct.
So this is how you're going to trigger that 3 inches: is you're going to take a captain, a mage, or like a priest of Ulrich, and slip them in your Jade Lancer unit. And now you've got reroll 1s to hit on those Lancers, and that's like you're getting an extra 2 or 3 hits per turn off that when they're in combat. It's not nothing.
But bigger than that, the priest buff, right, where you can do your little hymn. Doesn't only affect him, right? It can affect the whole unit regardless.
Yeah, it's best. It just says the unit. It doesn't say like an Empire unit or anything like that. So like
damage 2 lances.
Yeah, so now you get the option of like giving them a charge bonus or giving them damage too. That's pretty sweet. Or like just adding a captain with like some decent armor or something on them. You could take if you go with taking Empire magic items, which I think is going to be the assumption you're allowed to do. You take that like twice blessed full plate that gives you hammer hand. That's pretty sweet. Because Jade Lancers also not amazing in combat. They're better than Jade Warriors, but
also they have like they just don't hit that hard, and they don't have enough attacks. So
that's the thing. They're strength 4, AP 1, but they're often weapon skill 1,000,000, so that they have that going for them too. So
they hit good, don't wound great, and AP is mediocre. Yeah. So any way to make them hit a little harder, I think sends them up a tier. Because right now I think they're
a 50-50 shot at damage too. All of a sudden, like monsters are now a little bit more scared of them than they were before, chariots and things. So that's a good thing to consider. War balloons. This is just great in like the mirror or in a gun line matchup because
you rock up and you're playing your 5 balloon. And then you rock up and you may go second versus the 6 cannon dwarf. And yikes.
And so you slip 2 of those balloons into reserve. Now they are effectively guaranteed to come out when you want because they're getting a plus or minus whatever, how many balloons you took.
With a reroll.
5 to the roll. And now they're also getting a reroll to come in. So like if you want them turn 2, you got them. If you don't want them turn 2, you also don't have to, right? So it's really easy to like keep them off the board and then slam them on. And 2 balloons coming in from reserve, that's 10 strength 6 shots at AP 2. It's going to drop a cannon. It's going to damage, like an opposing balloon, things like that. So, or if you take like Dragon Bombs, you're behind a unit and just like tear up their butts.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Hemorrhoid, you're the hemorrhoid to their cream.
All right, magic items. First up, we have the Sword of Reason for 65 points. It is a sword. It has +2 strength, AP 2, killing blow, magical attacks requiring 2 hands. The wielder of the Sword of Reason strikes a killing blow if they roll a 5 or a 6 when making it a rune roll rather than a usual 6. So it is a great weapon with magical attacks and killing blow on 5s and 6s for 65. It's not the worst. And strikes at initiative. It's not the worst. It's actually
a weapon that a lot of armies would love to have, especially with the Ogre Blade being 75 points, is 65. So you can still fit like a talisman of protection on your guy if you want.
Well, so I'm of the opinion that with the disincentivization of dragons occurring and the dragon power being distributed, like killing blow actually goes up in strength because you're much more likely to come across like a Chaos Lord on a mount that isn't a dragon, or you're much more likely to come across a bunch of guys you actually can slap with killing blow.
Yeah, I think in the short term you're correct, because I think people,
correct. Yeah,
there's people that assume that dragons are worse, but dragons are actually, in my opinion, better now because Poison's on. Like Poison was really holding those guys in check with that guy losing like a single combat res and some other stuff. It doesn't matter when you compare it to the ability to just like free reign over the board. So I don't necessarily think dragons are worse. We will see less of them in some cases. Like the High Elf Dragon got way better.
Destroyed. Chaos Dragon got destroyed.
Dragon, a little bit. Yes, the Chaos Lord on a dragon can't really be put in 2,000 points.
Yeah, the exalted champ I think is very good for the points.
Exalted champ is very good. He does suffer. He's not quite a Chaos Lord by any means, but anyway, Sword of Reason though, it's an amazing item. Like with the nerf to magic, Shug Lords became like way less viable as an option for things because like you can't really guarantee spells. The Doppel Lord in particular, which I think a lot of people, including myself, were pretty excited about, basically never got to exist. This combined with another item we'll get to later does make I think for an interesting Shug Lord. Because like you don't care if Doppelganger gets off, you're still getting your 4 attacks with killing blow and 5s and 6s, and with that item coming up, you increase the chances of get 5 and 6s. then if you do end up getting Doppelganger and getting it off, it's just like bonus. Like you're going to tear through any elite infantry unit, and you can use your balloons and everything else to deal with your opponent and cannons to deal with your opponent's monsters. So it's a really interesting item that might see play. I doubt it, but it's really good. There's a lot of armies that would just love to have this.
Oh, it would be bordering auto take in so many armies.
I always take this every time. Killing blow 5 or 6 and strike at initiative. 100%. So there's always strike first. Like, oh my god, every day,
dude. The Wood Elf. So there's so many. All right, next up we have the Brazen Blade for 50 points. This is strength +1, AP 1, magical attacks, multi wounds 2, and if you roll a 6 to wound, they can't take a ward or regen save. Mm-hmm. This is also pretty good.
This is pretty good. Yeah, I'm like rolling a 6 to wound. It isn't like exactly easy to do. No. But that said, there's an item here later that can help you with that.
You have weapon skill for days, so because of that, you're more likely to have more dice to roll for the 6 than many others.
You're getting 2s or 3s. Like, unfortunately, your Cathan combat characters max out at 4 attacks instead of 5 like Chaos would or Elves, I believe. But still, it's a really cool weapon. I would consider it sometimes.
Fair enough. All right, the Wrath of Zenyang for 45. It's a sword again. Strength +1, AP 1, Armor Bane 1, Flaming attacks, magical attacks. Enemy models cannot make regen saves against wounds caused by this weapon, so no regen whatsoever. It is 45 points. I still don't hate it. There are some regen-heavy armies that this is actually kind of fantastic against, but you run into the same problem you already identified. You just don't have enough attacks. I love this into Undead. I think it's fantastic into Undead. You just don't get regen. You just rock up, hit them, wound them with AP 1. Maybe they take a 5 up, or a 4 up on some of their heavy units, and then straight on through. But still, for 45, it's still a little lukewarm.
Yeah, if it was AP2,
it'd be incredible. For 45,
I'd consider it a lot more. Your strength in Cathay is also capped at 4 for most units, so you're only strength 5. It's fine. I don't think anyone will ever play this unless we get into a world where there's re-rolling regen problems. Troll Horde became the list to beat for whatever reason. Maybe you'd see this starting to be run.
All right, next up, the Sword of Nangao for 35. Strength user, AP 3, Hatred, Warriors of Chaos, magical attacks for 35 points, unless I knew 150% that I was playing Warriors of Chaos all the time. And then also I feel like a bit of a dick. Leave this one on the shelf. AP 3 is really good, but you are strength 4. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. Now, the next thing I want to read, because...
Go for it.
This is the Jade Armor of Beishai, 40 points. Crafted in secret in the city of Beishai, this Jade Armor glows from within with unwholesome power. Spooky.
Not unwholesome.
But this Jade Armor is full plate, and in addition, it grants its bearer a 5+ ward save and magic resist 2.
Okay. Here's my one. Fuck off. That's the best armor. That's the best armor in the game.
It's arguably the best armor in the game.
Yeah, it is.
A couple other ones are on par, but this is for 40 points. Beastman got a 40-point armor that Wizards could wear, so that was kind of the buff there. That did only full plate and a 5+ ward. This gets you MR2.
MR2.
It's fantastic. You can't. You're probably never taking it on a Shug Lord or a Shug General because they're already 3.
Exactly.
They don't get the full plate bonus, and they already have the 5+ board. But if you ever decide to run a BSB, which this book emphasizes a little bit later, we'll get to, that's you're now on a 2+ armor save if you're on a with a 5+, and you're giving regen to magic resist to your More importantly, this is a 3rd character balloon that can have a save and also gets MR2 out of it, and doesn't lose any of its armor save for wearing it because it's full plate. So this will definitely see play. People will put this on their magistrates and balloons or on their gate masters or gatekeepers, I should say, all the time. I'm quite sure of
it. This is just insane to me. There's no reason for it to be full plate. In addition to MR and 5+ ward. Wow.
It seems
for 40 points.
It's definitely a thing where I think they undercosted it because in their minds they're like the main thing that we have that people are going to want to take is the Shug Lord, and this doesn't really benefit the Shug Lord.
It's redundant. Yeah.
But and then a Gatekeeper is a 2-wound model. That's so like who cares that
not worth the investment.
To kill. But I don't know if they were really considering. Oh, they can put this on the most oppressive thing in the game right now. Right. Which also those things weren't the most oppressive thing when Falconhorn existed.
Exactly right. When this was written, likely months and months ago. Yeah. All right. Next up, Sigil of Smoking Powder for 35 at first of the Talismans. Any enemy model that targets this character with or any unit they have joined during the shooting phase suffers an additional -1 to hit. Don't mind it. Don't love it. It's fine.
It's fine. Like if you know you're getting into a lot of shooting matches and you want to protect your Lancers or something, by all means, feel free. But
easy done. All right, Vermilion Quills. This is our first common. 25 points, 0 to 1 per model, single use only. The bearer of the Vermilion Quill, but not its mount, may reroll any fail to hit and or to wound rolls made during the combat phase. So once per game, fully rolls to hit and wound.
This is
not
great.
awful.
No, this is what else have Orion's Favor that does this,
Correct.
And it's spectacular on them. We see people taking the Monster Slayer guy all the time. Similar here, not as good as the Monster Slayer Lord for Wood Elves because you have like 2 less attacks generally with your Shug Lord. But this is what I was talking about. If you want to run that Cathayan version of the Sword of Kings, the Sword of Reason, or like a Monster Slayer sword or the Brazen Sword. Because in all those cases, like you can now get full rerolls for that one go turn.
Yeah, and just like pop 3 Blood Knight with a Shug Lord. Just like pop,
also,
pop.
This works with Doppelganger as well. So if you do manage to get Spectral Doppelganger off, which I like most of the time is a 50-50 shot these days, but if you do, you're rerolling all of those wounds as well.
Power scroll it. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take a Sword of Reason and do it, but you could do it with the Dragon Slaying Sword. You could do Dragon Slaying Sword, Power Scroll, and
Doppelganger, and Vermilion Quills. Yeah,
it's an option. I think the build will be, if you bother to do this, it'll be this, the Sword of Kings or the Dragon Slaying Sword, and there is a 10-point learning bow in this book, which we'll get to, and you probably run that, and that gets you to like your 100 points. But anyway, it's pretty good. It's definitely a build that you can run that I think people will try just for kicks, and like you'll have some high ceiling potential with that character. One round of the game. So,
all right, you can take it next.
Yes, the Mantle of Heavens. It's another magic armor for 20 points, woven from the silk harvested from the slopes of Kunlan. The wearer of these robes is filled with a measure of the celestial dragon's essence. Models whose troop type are infantry or cavalry only. It can be worn with other armor. The bearer of this mantle improves their armor save by 2 to a maximum of 2, plus against non-magical shooting attacks. Not really a thing you're going to ever take.
Nope. All right, moving on. First of the Magic Standards, Banner of the Dragon's Wrath for 45 points. A little close to Banner of the World Dragon for me. It even has the W. I was already again like, no, not again. Unit carrying this banner gains the flaming attacks and impact 1 special rule. For 45 points, bleh.
Yeah, I think like in the future, if we get like some cool monstrous infantry or monstrous cavalry that can take a magic banner.
Correct. It would need to be a heavier cav than the Jade Lancers to warrant this.
Yeah, getting a bunch of strength 3 impact hits.
Who cares?
For me,
nah.
But or if flaming attacks ever got good.
Yeah, did a thing. Dude, wait a second. So there's how much does the flaming banner cost?
20.
Is it even 20 points? Yeah,
25. I thought. Maybe it's 15. Yikes. I don't know. I've never taken it.
It could be 5. I wouldn't take it.
I mean, it was like so many lists in 8th edition because regen was so bad.
I know.
But it was also
everywhere.
5 points back then, or 10. Anyway.
All right. The Jade Banner for 40 points. When calculating its
holy shit.
You take it. You take it. Go for it. You go for it.
Holy crap. 40 points. Carved from purest jade by Cathay's finest artificers, this ancient banner fills the heart of a jade warrior with pride. When calculating its combat result, a unit carrying the Grand Banner of Superiority may claim an additional bonus of +2 combat res points. So this item doesn't actually function except in a Skaven list. Rules as written.
So good.
If you take this with Skaven, they get a ton of combat res.
So I just got the name wrong?
Yeah, so like this looks like they copy pasted the superiority from the legacy Skaven PDF and dumped it in here, and then just changed the plus D3 to +2,
and called it the Jade Banner
to change it to Jade Banner. So normally, I think anybody that's not a crazy person is going to tell you this banner gives you +2 combat res, and that's amazing. You for 40 points, you're going to take this either to just make like one block of Lancers or warriors have static res a million, or to balance out your 2 Jade Lancer units so that like one is like a 5 combat res and one's a 4 static. But yeah, like you can get up to like I think 8 static combat res on Jade Lancers with this banner, and that's pretty spicy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, so you'll see this get played.
But that Grand Banner of Superiority, oh boy, don't take that.
But yeah, I mean, in theory, if you allied Skaven and these guys, and then put your BSB in your Skaven unit, they would get an additional combat res on top.
So what I was thinking of is if you could somehow take an Empire BSB with the Griffin standard in a unit of Jade Warriors, and then take this on the unit, you could go to infinity, like plus 11 combat res, I think. Plus 12?
Yeah. Okay, no, you got it. Yeah, it'd be a little silly.
The Shroud of Shiyama for 25. A unit carrying the Shroud of Shiyama gains the Fear special rule. If they already have Fear, they gain Terror. Pretty bog standard. You see it in a bunch of books.
Yeah, we've seen it with Empire and a couple other armies. This is like a copy-paste. It's fine. You're not going to use it. It's fine.
Nah. You want to do the next one?
Yes, the Banner of Zen Woon for 15 points. Enemies often falter before this ashen banner, touched by the spirits of Zen Woon. Enemy units that wish to declare a stand and shoot or fire and flee reaction against a unit carrying the banner of Zen Woon must first make a leadership test. If it's passed, they may do so as normal. If it has failed, they must hold instead. It's fine.
For 15, I don't hate it. Like,
yeah, like if there were more shooting, you were scared of the stand and shoot reaction from, I guess.
Yeah.
If you were back to the big blobs again.
If you were really just playing in a meta that had a godload of shooting, like you just play with a lot of Wood Elves, play with a lot of Empire fast cavs, little bits and pieces, just having 15 points on like a min unit of Jade Lancers, this could be pretty useful.
Yeah, it's useful like in like the Tomb King matchup, I guess.
Yeah, correct.
And with a big blob of skeleton archers, like if they failed that leadership test, all of a sudden you're gold. I wish it just was like a once per game. They can't do it.
They can't.
Over having the role, but is what it is.
All right, enchanted items. The Ring of Jet is a common magic item for 30 points. 0 to 1 per model. The wearer of the Ring of Jet can cast the Unquiet Spirit spell from the Law of Necromancy as a bound spell with a power level of 2.
This is wonderful.
It is. Not
this
bad.
Is something that might see some play because, like, Ruby Ring of Ruin was so popular, and then it got nerfed to being power level 1. And so, like, nobody runs it anymore. And this is, like, an extremely common Ruby Ring for 5 less points. Unquiet Spirits is a really good spell. It's 15-inch range instead of 24 and only strength 2, but it's 3d6 hits that ignore all armor saves. And more importantly for Cathay, like it's a cheap way to get magical attacks in the army when like a lot of their best builds don't have any or just have like one guy with a sword doing all of the work for you. So being able to toss out one or two of these on your like Jade Lancer units, or put it on a strategist in a balloon, so that you've got this like 360 like exploding power is to add to their arsenal is really, really interesting. I definitely can see one or two of these getting tossed in a ton of lists.
I totally agree. I think that's actually one of the best magic items in this Arcane Journal.
Yeah.
Golden Lion for 25 points. The bearer of the Golden Lion and their unit may reroll any failed fear, panic, rally, or terror tests.
Yeah, it's okay. The thing is that Cathay has a million ways to reroll
Correct.
Like, every leadership test already, so you probably won't see this. But maybe if a world comes where terror bombs become the way that people try to play the game, but
it doesn't work against screams, does it?
It does not work against screams.
Yeah. Should have worked against screams. All right, you can do the next.
The Fires of Nangao, an extremely common 20-point item. Cunningly crafted by the artificers of Nangao, these earthenware jars contain the fury of the city's forges, ready to be unleashed upon Cathay's enemies. 0 to 1 per model, single use. You get a breath weapon, a strength 4 AP 2 breath weapon that you can do with what you will. And by that, I mean you will just not do anything with it.
No, you will not do shit. Although I do hate the idea that if they did buff breath weapons, you could just take these on your lanterns and just rock up an even more burnination.
Yeah, like if you're doing like Dragon Firebomb lanterns, it's a kind of cute little way to add even
double
more
down
power to them.
But it's even at 20 points, it's just not worth. Like,
well,
they're so bad.
In you saying that, because it's 20 and the Ring of Jet is 30, I could see someone like doing a Dragonfire strategist in a balloon, and then instead of taking defensive items, taking the Ring of Jet and the Fires of Nangao, since they're both items.
Yeah,
and then just like
more of it.
Lighting up infantry units.
Yeah. All right. Clockwork Compass, first of the arcane items, 50 points. Single use. The bearer may use this item instead of making Wizardly Dispel. If they do so, the spell is automatically dispelled with no roll required. In addition, all remains in play spells currently in play are dispelled, including any spells cast by friendly wizards. So wipe the board. 50 points, auto dispel, and wipe the board.
Yeah.
If magic was still good, sure. But no.
It's fine. Like, lizardmen have this exact same item. I think high elves do too, and like they don't see play. But yeah, it's a fun thing to have.
All right. I got the next one, and then you get the last one. So this is a Seal of Xingpo for 25. It is a common magic item, 0 to 1 per model. If you wish, the bearer of the seal may discard 2 of their randomly generated spells rather than the usual 1, and instead select 2 signature spells from either Law of Yang or Law of Yin, determined by which of these 2 special rules they have. Is this any good? I actually find it hard to tell if this is good.
So in both the Law of Yin and the Law of Yang, there are like 2 good signature spells. I don't think this is like worth it to take most of the time. If magic was still good, I would consider it. Just because like maybe on like a Shug General where you're only going to get 2 spells, or if you decide not to upgrade your Shug Lord because you're trying to save points these days. This way, like you pick your whatever magic lore you want to take, you roll your 2 dice, you get 2 spells you don't want, and then you're just like, cool, I'm going to sub them out for the 2 good signatures I have and play that way instead. It's fine. Technically, you could take more than. Oh no, wait! I was going to say that no, they did the 0 to 1 per model. Luckily this time, so yeah. So it's fine. I don't think you're ever going to see it, but like,
nah,
it's objectively okay. Just like 90% of these items.
All right, what's the last one?
The last item, and I've already mentioned it a little bit, the Scrolls of Wage In is 10 points. It is not common. Those fortunate enough to study the elemental winds in the heart of the celestial city learn many arcane secrets. Such scholars carry with them many scrolls heavy with knowledge. The bearers of this item know one more spell than is normal for their level of wizardry. However, they can only cast a number of spells equal to their level of wizardry per turn. Given that they just FAQ'd all of these items to do exactly that, this is just like a really cheap Wizard's Familiar or
it is
Learning Bow. The only difference
10 points
is you can't take more than one of them, but you could take a Learning Bow in this and become a Lore Master for 5 less points than you could before.
Yep. Oh boy. Jumping for joy.
Yeah,
my sides are split.
This is an interesting choice to add after like already giving basically Wizard's Familiar to Cathay in the previous book to give them a cheaper one. I know this was definitely written way before they considered the FAQ, but like, yeah, this is something that you'll see people slot into lists if they decide to run any Magic, because it's just such a cheap way to get an extra spell. And yeah, if you're doing the so pardon me, big yawn.
Making me yawn too, you bugger.
So like something I was considering with this, the monkey bow, the Monkey King's bow from the main book, the 75 point item that's strength 10, AP 4, D3, multiple damage D3. I could see somebody doing that with a Doppelshug, and then for their 25 points, either taking the full rerolls to hit and wound item, or just taking the Scrolls of Wage In and a Learning Bow. And so that way you're guaranteeing Doppelganger, and you're still getting that 75 point like wicked item. You're easier to kill. You only got a 3+5++, but like that monkey bow, even if you don't get off Doppelganger, it's a better Ogre Blade, right? So it's still going to slam some things. It's going to, take down some pegs. In a mirror match, it might be better than to run that guy than running Miao Ying, just because he can drop like a non-character balloon in one round of combat most of the time.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's like some real benefit there. And he's like 100 points cheaper.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this very brief Arcane Journal review. All right, we've got to do our rankings and rating system. So obviously, we may have done the tier list a week early on our last couple episodes, but I'm under no illusions now that Cathay is one of the best armies in the game, and I don't believe this makes them better though. I don't believe anything in this Arcane Journal actually makes them better than they were. I
think this is more of a side grade.
It's a bit fleshed out, I guess, is the best you could say for it. Like, you have a bit other options. I don't think the Army of Infamy is better than the Grand Army in any intents and purposes. I don't think it's dramatically better in any way. It's fine. It's actively fine.
I think the thing with this right now is the way it is you're going to run the Army of Infantry no matter what, because like there's no reason not to. Basically the thing that's going to change in the most competitive versions of Cathay lists is you'll see them try to free up 50 points to take or 40 points to take the ward save on another character balloon.
Which makes me sick to my ass Peter. Right to my ass.
Or like I mentioned, they will. I think that we're already seeing more and more events. We mentioned in the previous episode, but we're seeing it more and more of, especially because of the WTC and others. More events are nerfing the balloons by like trying to like change the army comp. So I'm going to Airbase Toronto here in October, and they've already announced that you're only going to be allowed to run character balloon and one normal balloon. So in those comps where you're cut down to having only 2 in your whole list, now you freed up some points where taking an Empire Captain or a Priest of Ulrich is cool.
Yeah.
A Gatekeeper with the like War Banner and BSB, and then the 40-point Jade Armor. He's rocking like 150 points to have a 2+ armor, 5+ ward, give magic resist 2 to your Jade Lancers, and then if you throw the Jade banner on that Lancer unit, 10 Jade Lancers with that guy, that's a combat res 8 unit right there. Toss in an Empire Captain or a Priest of Ulrich. That's a really solid unit now you're looking at. That's going to put out damage. And it doesn't have to. Most of the time it can just hit a unit and just sit there. And with its 3+ armor, 6+ ward, and it'll win combat just by existing, right?
Correct.
So, against just about everything in the game. So like that's so that's a build that'll come out of this if you're in a comp system. Uncomped, like I mentioned, your people will free up 40 to 60 points so that they can take the one magic item, possibly put a balloon in reserves.
Yeah. Fair enough, mate. It sounds like we're coming to the end of this review. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode. Please come and join us over on part 2. Peter and I are going to be answering a bunch of patron questions and talking about any games and spicy bits of knowledge that have come our way, and keep you guys updated with the meta and the game as it evolves. Hopefully you'll come and join us. That's Patreon, That Old World Charm. Peter, anything to say, brother?
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to That Old World Charm with those charming chaps, Adam, Danny, and Peter the Falcon. Thanks ever so much. Cheerio.